Hi, everyone. Welcome to Spill the Tea Radio, where we interview awesome singers, songwriters, and those who influence their lives. Spill the Tea Radio explores the journey, creativity, and inspiration behind the songs. My next guest is a pop artist originating from a small town in British Columbia near the Alaskan border. She has carved her path through New York City and London with her raw and experimental edged music. Since her first independent release in 2018, she has amassed millions of streams, climbed to number 2 on CBC's Top 20 with Build a Ship, landed on a major editorial playlist, and released her debut album, Holy Tender Artist, in 2022. So, let's spill the tea with Elena Erin. Welcome, Elena.
How are you?
I'm well, thanks. And just so everybody knows, you're a globe-trotting artist and you are coming to us from the UK. When I said London, I didn't mean London, Ontario.
Ontario.
I meant London, UK. And you're coming to us from London, UK at the moment. Elena, let's talk about your journey because you're a young girl from northern BC, a little town on the Alaskan border, growing up, wishing you could be a big rock star, a big recording artist, and you make your way through New York City and into London. It's an amazing journey that you did.
Yeah.
So take us through it. How did you end up from northern BC through New York and London?
Yeah. So I guess there's the practical aspect of like taking a flight and then also the whole like the years of building up into that. So the practical aspect was that I started going to Berklee College of Music in Boston. And when there, I was doing a degree that required me to do internships as well. So my mentality at the time was, well, everybody moves to LA to do pop music, and I'm for sure going to move there. So let me go to New York and do my internship there, which I had to do. And I knew nothing about New York, had visited once, and it just seemed insane. But I knew somebody who was moving there who said, like, you can rent out my couch from me and sleep on my couch. And I was like, okay, I'll do that. So that's how I ended up in New York. And once I was there, ended up staying there for like 5 years, didn't leave. Um, when I did go to LA, realized I don't really like this. New York's grown on me. And then after a while, was feeling very burnt out with New York. Like the energy there is just like very high intensity, and was like, where can I do pop music that still has this energy, but is just more, feels more sustainable? And I'd visited London before, always wanted to go. And finally, one day it just kind of got to the point that I was like, I'm just going to move and figure it out. I don't know what I'm going to do, but I'm just going to go there and figure it out. So I did that. But in between all of these, like even moving to London, I would still be back in New York a lot for events. I think my friends in London and New York don't actually know which city I live in. And then also back in Canada, like had you talked to me a few months ago, I'd be like, oh yeah, I'm in Canada right now. So a little bit between all of these places.
Elena, tell us about the difference in the music scenes between uh, you've performed in Canada as well,
Mhm.
Vancouver and across the country. What's the difference between a major metropolis in Canada, New York City, and London? What's the differences between the music scene in those three areas?
I would really say it depends on your genre and what stage you're at. So in New York, that's kind of where I first started doing all my performances. Just went straight for it in New York City. Um, and then I began realizing like, oh yeah, there's kind of like a circuit around there, like all these kind of venues that you end up doing as a smaller artist. And once you get into that, you start kind of like meeting the same musicians, all of that. And I've realized like in every city, I think there's kind of like different tiers of, this is where the emerging artists perform, and you kind of go through that circuit, and then you start getting a supporting act or a bigger place. Um, so starting in New York was interesting because I would sometimes have shows that would do really well, and it would be my early performing days, or have shows where there were like three audience members and have to figure out how I fill the room if the audience isn't filling the room. And then when I came to London was right after the pandemic. So live stuff wasn't really happening yet. And actually, when I got here, they shut down for the winter again in the UK at the time. Um, so once again, when I started doing shows, it was kind of like figuring out the venues, finding the musicians, but realizing the landscape had changed so much. So I'm still kind of trying to understand the London experience because half the time people are like, oh, go check out this venue. It's amazing. And you go and it's been shut down, unfortunately. Or even in New York, actually, the last time I was there, I played a show and the venue had already closed two of its stages and they only had one stage left. And then the weekend after I finished that show, they shut down that stage as well, which I was like, oh, that's so sad. It's been around for a long time. Um, so yeah, they're all kind of, I find like New York is very just kind of like you have people traveling through. It's very exciting at any show you perform. You really are just gonna like could meet people from all over the world who are coming through and doing their stuff there, getting their foot in the door. Um, in Canada, I haven't experienced as many international acts that I kind of meet along the way. But it's kind of cool, like a deepening of community. The more I'm performing in Canada, meeting other musicians from other provinces or touring around, things like that.
That brings up an interesting point about New York and London and Toronto to a certain extent, but really New York and London, where it's almost like a an international hub
Yeah,
where you've got you've got acts from Europe coming through New York and from the West Coast and through New York, from Canada and through they all come through New York and in London they
yeah.
all come through. What's that experience like for you where you say, "Oh, there's my friends from South Africa. Oh, there's my friends from Australia that are coming through. That's a band I met in Japan." Like,
Yeah,
is it like homecoming when you run into these people that you've met in different parts of the world?
it is. And funny enough, through both like my music and I actually do like a lot of actual running and run crew stuff and have met people that way as well. And I notice in New York and London, sometimes I feel so similar because there'll be big events or conferences or music things or running things, marathons, anything like that, that suddenly I'm like, all my friends are there from the other, like it's like, oh, that city's just kind of up and moved and now exists here. Um, and like you said, like, yeah, that's kind of where everybody goes through. So that was also an interesting thing of sometimes being in those cities, you just have everybody coming to you. So you're meeting all these people. And always now I feel like, oh, when I do tours around the world, I have places to go. I know people. So that's a cool part of it.
As you say, you've always got a couch to sleep on, no matter where you go.
Exactly.
Let's talk about your education that you went to Berkeley College of Music and Business. How did that experience help you with your professional career?
That experience helped me a lot in I was finally around people who were able to move things quickly. So my whole life growing up north, nobody there did pop music, right? So I'd like try to work with people on songwriting, but generally kept my songs to myself, never really put them out there, never shared that I wrote music with people, did classical piano, a bit of guitar. And when I got to Berkeley, suddenly you had all these producers, songwriters, every like as soon as you have an idea, there's a whole bunch of people who are like, yes, let's make it happen and would make it happen with you. And the speed of which that happened felt amazing to me. Like I remember some people were like, how are you doing so much? And I'm like, I've been deprived of opportunities my whole life. So now I'm taking all of them. Like this feels amazing.
I'm drinking from the fire hose.
Yeah, I'm loving this. And so that was really amazing. And the fact that getting that movie, something, all the songs I'm writing, there's people recording them, we're making demos, I'm seeing things work in real time. And a lot of it, what was special about the school experience is that there's a bit of nurturing. So like here, we're going to teach you how to do this, but then also a bit of like, and we're going to push you, go for it. And
Mhm.
that's more so like, oh, there's an event. Do you want to sign up for this? Do you want to take this on? Even if you don't really know what you're doing, you're kind of figuring it out while there. Um, that was really amazing. There's certain things that I think that education was important, but then also certain lessons I've learned from being, I guess, in the real world or in studios that I think were also equally as valuable. So that is interesting to look back on, see that.
what was the culture shock like? Well, first of all, you studied classical piano.
Yeah.
You studied it through to grade 10, and you're doing that along the way. But you start when you're younger,
Yeah.
up in northern BC.
Yeah.
And then you end up going to New York, as you say, and all of a sudden there's all this collaboration. What's the culture shock like for you going from a little town in northern BC to the one of the biggest cities on the planet?
Yeah, you know what's funny is I always tell people like I'm such a stereotypical Canadian in the fact that like they're like, did you ever sleep in snow caves, like igloos? Yes. Did you
Yes.
ever like I was homeschooled on a cattle farm. Like even people in my town, I'm kind of like outside of that, right? Like it wasn't like oh, I went to school, but it was a small school. Like I didn't even go to school. Um, so there was a lot of sheltering, not even just in terms of it being a small town, but just in how I was raised, my parents, this like religious aspect. So going to school, first of all, I remember like I got to Boston and everybody was like, Boston's so dirty. It's so like gross. Like we're just trying to like do our time and leave here. And I remember thinking like this is the coolest thing I've ever been. Like they've hit this is like they make movies here. This is so cool. This is so sick. Um, but I would say a lot of the cultural differences were me not knowing certain things that I realized everybody else knew, whether it was certain artists, whether it was just like slang or words or something. Like a lot of times I'd be out and like somebody would say something and I'd be like on my phone Googling like what does this mean? Um, that happened a lot. And then same in New York, like I think there was just like so much like naivety and having to figure out how the city was like worked, how when somebody says something, what they're meaning. Um, so yeah, there was a lot of like a lot of having to figure that out on the way.
Let's get into one of the songs that Elena wrote. This song was released in November of 2024. This song sets the stage for Elena's Gatsby era album. Let's take a listen to singer-songwriter Elena Erin and her song, Only Kink I Haven't Tried.
What would happen if we just stayed here tonight? Didn't get a close-up, didn't get a close-off. Happen if we just stayed here tonight? Kinda like you, wanna hold on. What if we just stayed here tonight? No sex or highs, no art or pain, emotion. Now the only thing I haven't tried is loving someone till I die. Now the only thing I haven't tried is loving someone till I die. New fame or case, it messes with my head. I can't tell who stays around me just to get on that line, the stage. So I gotta wall up way up to the sky. Thought you would give up like the typical guys. I tried to play it casual, you said that you ain't about the soft-spoken words when there's truth in my mouth. You know there's more to me, I won't give out. And you're correct. Yeah, I built a big castle way up in the clouds, cause I don't trust for miles around. And you must have known that's what goes on in my head when you said, what would happen if we just stayed here tonight? Didn't get a close-up, didn't get a close-off. Happen if we just stayed here tonight? Kinda like you, wanna hold on. What if we just stayed here tonight? No sex or highs, no art or pain, emotion. Now the only thing I haven't tried is loving someone till I die. Yeah. Now the only thing I haven't tried is loving someone till I die. Oh, close the curtains, heart you're burning. You're not my muse, you're my favoriteest person. Close the curtains, close the curtains. I don't give a about the fame or the fortune. We have it all, but that ain't important. The beat in your chest is how I'm keeping score, yeah. You on my wall under family portraits. Took all my Grammys and put them in storage. That's just how I'm keeping score.
That was Only Kink I Haven't Tried by Elena Erin. Elena, tell us about the song. What is it about, and what was the inspiration to write it?
It's about how sometimes like the thing that seems the easiest is actually like the most profound or weirdest or kinkiest thing in our current society. So in the song, it's kind of like talking about having tried all these like things, whether it's like, I use the word kink, but it's kind of just like anything, like being able to travel all over the world, be with whoever you want, be in any situation, and then realizing like, oh, I actually just want it like love and a situation that maybe people would consider boring or like not some like movie romance, nothing, like just like this private love.
Elena, how do people find out more about you? What's the socials? Where's the website? What are the streaming platforms? Where they to go to find out more about you, your music, and where you are performing?
Absolutely everywhere. I'm mostly on Instagram and TikTok, music on Spotify, all streaming services. It's usually my name or sometimes Elena Erin Official at the end of it, but just search me, Google me, you'll find it there.
We have been in conversation with Elena Erin. Elena, thanks very much for being with us.
Thank you.